Hey, thank you so much for watching, listening today. I'm super excited. I get to introduce to you a friend who's very cool. Her name is Dianne Leman. Thank you, Dianne.
Yes.
Totally stoked that you're here. Not everybody knows kind of who you are, so can you tell us like where you're from and what's your vibe? What do you like to do?
Well, I always like to say that I am a beloved daughter of God. Like to start there. Yep. Sometimes forget that.
Yeah.
Yes. So my husband and I, his name is Happy. And we founded and planted the Vineyard Church of Central Illinois.
Whoa.
And that was in 1978. Wow. So we've been there a long time. And we've just recently turned that church over to our daughter and son-in-law.
Nice.
So very excited about that. But we have been very active in the Vineyard movement for many years and remain so, thankful. I am a very strong advocate for women, women in leadership. Yeah. Yes. And a very passionate person about healing because our whole story was birthed out of being miraculously healed of infertility and went on to have 5 children and 18 grandchildren. We always say God's into fruitfulness.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Yeah.
And what'd you do before the pastoring gig?
Okay. I was on my way working on my doctorate at the University of Illinois. I had a dream of becoming a professor.
In what studies?
In education.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And then I was teaching full-time as a special educator. I have a real passion for children with special needs. And I did that for 6 years.
And what niche do you like in terms of special education?
Well, my most favorite thing is watching a child come alive with reading. Oh. So no matter what level, even if, they can barely do it and they don't have the skills and yet just their world opening up with books.
And they start to kind of get a passion for it.
Totally. And they understand how it can transport them around the world.
So, did you ever, like back in the day, they did that speed reading stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember? I think it was in the 70s, right? There were all this speed reading. What's your take on that? Did that stuff really work?
Interestingly, I did some speed reading training. And
you took it and you gave it, or both?
I took it.
Yeah.
This is the advantage. I can read about 5 books a week. And I like to read about 10 books at a time. Well, you don't know what you're in the mood for, right? Yeah. So, but the disadvantage, and I still struggle with this, is I'm a very impatient reader. And so I tend to skim.
Yeah, get to the point, get on with it, and then you miss stuff.
Totally miss stuff. Yeah,
like comprehension at the expense of speed.
Yes, and really important details. But and sometimes I even try to speed read the Bible, which isn't a great idea.
Plus or minus, right? So, what do you like to read?
I love biography. I love memoir. Those are things that inspire me. Whether they're a believer or not, I love to know how people faced obstacles, overcame them, or didn't. Right. And the lessons learned. So that's by far my favorite genre.
And who's your favorite biography that you've read?
Oh, wow. That would be very, very hard.
Top 3? Top 5?
Okay. Well, I just finished, so this is an easy one, Eugene Peterson, who obviously was the translator of the message, Burning in My Bones.
Serious? There's a biography on him?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Just released. Of course, he passed, I think, a year and a half ago or so.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Very well written, by the way.
That's cool.
Yeah, so that's my recent favorite. But long before I knew Jesus, I was reading biographies, and I think one of my favorite biographies as a young girl was Harriet Tupman. And of course, now she's all over the place, and movies have been made about her. But I was captured by her tenacity and her faith even. Yeah, her courage.
So was that the name of the biography? Is Harriet Tubman? Do you remember the name of it?
I don't. It was probably more a children's version. But I highly recommend biographies of all types.
Did you ever
research them?
Did you read Glass Castle?
I absolutely read Glass Castle.
What did you think of that?
Very sobering. And of course, they made a movie out of that. Which the movies never quite, in my opinion, reflect the reality of the book, but I enjoyed the movie.
Hillbilly Elegy?
Oh, absolutely, Hillbilly Elegy.
What did you think of that?
Well, what I love there is the vein of faith. And so just the resilience that faith can bring to someone. And and of course it was set, in Ohio, Kentucky, which is very Midwest, which is where I'm from, and very meaningful.
Educated? Did you read that one?
Absolutely.
What did you think
So
of that?
her experience, of course, was you must like memoirs.
I've started reading them recently.
Educated, of course, she was homeschooled and as part of a religious cult, so to speak, because I had homeschooled my children till they went to 5th grade, and at times have been accused of being in a religious cult.
Sure.
Fascinating. And of course, I loved that, I think she eventually ended up at Oxford and
really
was
powerful.
Very, very powerful. And so love those memoirs.
Any others that you can think of recent?
Wow, I wish
Those
I
are
would have
recent
come more
ones.
prepared.
I like it off the
or I
top
had
of
my
your head.
Kindle,
Yeah.
like, oh, what else have I just read that was so good? Trying to think. It'll come to me.
Yep.
But
Totally good.
Yeah.
Totally good. And so in terms of like hobbies, just to kind of relax, how do you relax?
yes. I always have regretted that I don't have hobbies.
Yeah.
I kind of envy these people who are like, oh, I love photography. Oh, I wish I loved gardening. But I do have a gorgeous yard. My husband loves flowers. Our entire backyard. If I had to choose a hobby, though, obviously reading. Secondly, I love the outdoors. So I swim every day, walk every day with my husband.
Yep.
Have introduced all my grandchildren to snow skiing and boogie boarding. And so I love the mountains. I love the ocean. So I guess that's a hobby of sorts.
Sure.
But
Sure. And when you swim, what do you do for swimming?
we have a pool in our backyard. I've had that for over 40 years. So I swim laps.
Yeah.
It's a great time to pray.
How long do you swim?
Just 30 minutes.
And all freestyle, or do you do
No,
mix?
freestyle and breast.
Yep. Any kickboard?
Nope, but I have plenty of kickboards all for the grandkids.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do you ever do the buoy pull?
No, but I've been introduced to that. I'm not really great like on intensive exercise.
Sure.
I have a son who's a physical trainer, and he keeps saying, Mom, you're 70 now. You've got to get those bones and muscles. And I'm like, okay, one of these days.
Yeah, I totally understand it. Do you like to cook? Not so much.
I was raised in an Anabaptist faith, and food is very important, but it's very down-home food. So fried chicken, meatloaf, this type of thing.
Green beans,
mashed potatoes, always have pie, always have dessert. To this day, always have dessert. But I'm raising a big family, 5 children, and 4 of them boys, meant I did a lot of cooking.
Yes.
Quantity cooking. I wish I enjoyed it more. Yeah, several of my sons now are very good cooks. And
Nice.
they kind of refuse even to eat my food anymore. Well, it's not cool enough.
I get that. I understand how that goes. I get it. So when you read the Bible, what's like your kind of, if you like, you always go back to it. You love it. I mean, it's just like, phew, this really gets me. What would you say?
I would say the Gospel of John is hands down my absolute favorite gospel. And then I wrote about the Apostle Paul's obsession with what it means to be in union with Christ. And so almost any of the epistles, but if I had to choose, it would definitely be Colossians. And I've currently, in the past couple years, much to many people's chagrin, been totally blessed by the Passion Translation.
Right?
Oh, love it. And, we've had a lot of pushback. People like, that's not accurate. Well, if you do any research on Brian Simmons and who he is as a linguist, you don't doubt that this is an accurate translation. And he's very clear where he adds his own. So love the Passion. Yes.
Why do you like John so much?
John, to me, of course, was, in my opinion, Jesus' very closest friend. And he, of all the apostles, understood the oneness and the role of the Holy Spirit, which is sprinkled, obviously, throughout Luke and Mark and Matthew. But is just such a central part, from that John 7 text of out of your innermost being will flow the rivers of living water, this being the Spirit. So love John, love, love the stories, particularly about women. Luke does a good job with women too, but the woman caught in adultery, woman at the well, love those stories. And just show us how deeply Jesus loved women, valued women, called women, healed women.
And didn't blow them off.
No. Love it.
Didn't minimize them and didn't kind of ostracize them. Yeah.
And this is an aside, loved how the TV series The Chosen really captured Jesus' love and welcome of women. And particularly, the woman at the well, that was a very well done episode. If you haven't seen the series The Chosen, I want to encourage everybody, access that. It's easy as downloading the app.
Totally good. Totally good. Well, thank you for hanging out. I want to thank you for watching and thank you for subscribing. Hit the little notification bell so you can get new content when we post it. And I want you to answer this question. What is your favorite Bible translation? You're like, what's your favorite? And I think that's a fun question, easy to answer. And that would be cool just to have a little bit of interaction with you on that. Also, we have this amazing joke that, seriously, I think this is one of the best all-time jokes I have ever heard. So I'm going to share it with you because I just want you to be so blessed with this joke. What do the Eiffel Tower and ticks, like a tick, what do the Eiffel Tower and ticks have in common? They are both parasites. That was so great. I love that one. Okay, thanks again for watching and listening.